Is there any other like super fights that you could see happening over the next like 2 years or year?
There is. We're talking about one right now, actually, that just popped up a few days ago. So I can't talk about it, but till we get a.
Is it involved McGregor at all?
Every fight that you would consider a super fight would involve McGregor, but this one isn't. No.
When you hear super fight, you think champ versus champ, or you think at least a champion. But if he's booking it now, all the champions are already booked to fight, I think. Pereira's just won. So Pereira, he's on the table.
It's got to be.
And so is Aspinall. I mean, it could be someone new coming in. Any big names outside the UFC that you think would be sufficient enough for a super fight?
He hasn't specifically mentioned champion, but he has said super fight that's not involving McGregor. So you do have a few people potentially on the cards that could return. You've got guys like GSP. You've got guys like Ronda Rousey. You've got big bloody Brock Lesnar. What happened to old Brock Lesnar? Is he still in the WWE?
He's fucking ancient. That's what happened.
Yeah, I know, but USADA not returning in 2024.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you can't just do drugs.
Well, you can absolutely get around it, though. I mean,
Yeah.
there's always been drug testing in the UFC. It's just not been as well done as USADA.
They're replacing USADA with someone just as stringent.
Okay, just as stringent.
Yeah, but just as stringent, but also maybe just as lenient towards Brock Lesnar.
Exactly, yeah. Because let's not forget that Brock Lesnar came in at UFC 200 and just fought Mark Hunt.
Yeah.
Had so
and then
many
they dealt with
steroids
they dealt with the consequences after the fight.
Plus-
as well. Whereas John got pulled prior to 200.
Honestly, we're looking
It's
at
mental.
this whole storyline of Jim Miller being the guy to fight 100,
That's
200,
weak.
300. No. Wait, but who else?
Super fun.
Yeah, hang on. Who else fought a 100 and 200 and could fight
Michael
300?
Bisping.
Brock Lesnar. So he could be the guy.
What?
that you-
It's mental.
Lesnar
that
versus Miller.
yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying, the narrative always is Jim Miller would be the guy
Well,
to fight
okay,
all three.
he's
Brock Lesnar is another guy who could do that.
Yeah, Jim Miller obviously absolutely going to fight at 300.
No, he's not.
probably
He's been
would-
booked. He's been booked before that.
What a fucking
He's
idiot.
been booked in a fight before that. So I don't know.
What?
Maybe
Who the fuck does that?
it's not like a guarantee that he's not going to fight at 300, but I'm pretty sure he's already
That's
booked.
a huge mistake.
That's a
to make.
massive mistake.
What has Brock Lesnar shown you that makes you want him to come back? I'm not saying you want him to come back, but I'm saying what has he done that has set us on?
You don't think
massive
people
return?
would want to watch that? You don't think people would want to watch John Jones, Brock Lesnar?
I think it's like all the stuff we've had with recent Fury fights is that people know he's not. I don't think he's in a place to fight in a cage anymore.
What, Brock Lesnar?
No,
I don't
How
know.
old is he? I don't think he's that old. Like
got to
40.
be nearly
But,
50.
but it doesn't. It could be Brock Lesnar versus Stipe Miocic.
Oh, why?
Yeah, it
but
could be.
That'd be
why-
pretty good.
Why would it be that? Why would you give it to
'Cause they
the
already
next best
teased
guy
that.
who
They
hasn't
already
fought
teased
in
that.
Because
while
you've
ago.
got the biggest UFC heavyweight star ever in Brock Lesnar coming up against the greatest UFC heavyweight champion of all time. I actually wouldn't mind that because Stipe's on his way out. You get Brock Lesnar in there.
Would you want to watch Brock versus Brock being in there would be mental because of his age and all the things he's done, but him to come back and fight Stipe would just be so random. At least give him to Jones if he's going to come back.
There has been more talk than that. Even in 2020, they were talking about matching that fight up when John Jones was connected to Brock Lesnar, and Stipe was saying, "I want to fight him. I think I deserve it more than John Jones." So there's been more than one occasion where Stipe's talked about fighting Brock.
It's Simon Miller. Hold on. What's up, Dean? I am currently in the middle of a podcast episode. What a perfect time to actually call, because we were just talking about the possibility of Brock Lesnar returning to UFC 300.
He lost to Cody Rhodes at the pay-per-view a couple of months ago, and he put him over, and he just went off into the sunset, still being paid millions and millions of dollars. Rumour is he's coming back at the Royal Rumble, which is late January, and UFC 300 is like March, April time, right?
Yeah.
He could technically still turn up to the Royal Rumble in January and still do a UFC 300 fight, which is what, March?
April.
Well, I mean, like,
March,
if there is a
April.
window-
Unless he's not at WrestleMania. Is WrestleMania usually April?
The thing is, you've touched on an interesting point there, because last month they had their Crown Jewel show, which is their Saudi Arabia show. And it was the first time Brock Lesnar hasn't been on that show. So now you've got my brain going, maybe he has actually got a way to do it would be a 6-month training camp. So there's every chance this could be actually, if I didn't know Dana White had said that, and if you had not told me that, I would have said no way. But now, putting it all together, he has operated in a very strange manner compared to last year. So maybe he is going to do this. Yeah, there's a small opportunity, absolutely.
Is this how he usually operates? Does he usually turn up for the big events like WrestleMania and stuff?
I think SummerSlam was the last match. He doesn't usually leave that early in the calendar. He usually, vanishes about this time, really. So he'll go sort of late October, mid-November, and then he'll come back for Mania season. But I am pretty sure that he was on the poster for a Crown Jewel or for a Survivor Series or something, and then he just was off the poster. And everyone's like, oh, it must have been a mistake. But they don't really make those kind of mistakes, WWE. Like, they're very meticulous. And the Crown Jewel one especially, because obviously the Saudi Arabia shows they're just political, propaganda events. And the prince who runs those things expects all the top stars, which is always a Roman Reigns, and it's usually a Brock Lesnar. I mean, The Undertaker still flew out there, because again, they expect everyone to be there. So the fact that he wasn't, and the fact that this year he has operated differently, if all of a sudden it came out that he was doing UFC 300, you would be able to put the dots together and go, actually, there was a breadcrumb trail there.
It's confirmed.
Yeah, it is confirmed. That's confirmed now, Simon.
I love it.
That's confirmed. Run the headlines.
Simon Miller confirms Brock Lesnar for UFC 300.
So if we're talking about people coming from outside of the UFC, who else is another star in the WWE who is under the TKO banner who has been teasing MMA for a long time? Logan Paul.
Oh, no.
Look, I would
Super
hate
fight.
it, and it would be an embarrassment to MMA, but if...
Why would it be an embarrassment? He was a wrestler one day.
Maybe it wouldn't be an embarrassment to MMA, except you're talking about the best organization in the world and a guy who's had zero fights.
Did you not see the Dylan
in.
Dennis fight? What a fight.
It doesn't matter, but like the point is that, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but that might be a possibility to consider as well.
Logan Paul that'd be awful.
Women's 135 is arguably the worst it's ever been. Their title fight right now between Mauro Bueno Silva and Raquel Pennington is going to crown the champion. I feel like Ronda Rousey could come back and beat either of those women.
Are we having a WWE chat or a MMA chat?
We're talking about superstars and super fights, and all of our champions are booked up.
Yeah.
It might be after that, but then he can't plan a fight without knowing the consequences.
It would be the perfect fucking time for Ronda Rousey to just
That's what I mean.
reappear after all of this time to just take the fucking 135 crown back again.
If she fights Raquel Pennington, it's like, I think she can beat Raquel Pennington.
Can you imagine?
I don't know, dude.
Fucking hell, yeah.
But if we,
I mean, who's fucking buying
Ronda
that
had
pay-per-view,
massive
though?
holes in her game, but she was also like absolutely insane.
The disastrous thing for Rousey herself was coming back against Amanda Nunes and thinking she could fucking beat Amanda Nunes. Obviously, at the time, maybe we didn't know how good Amanda was and how good she was going to become. But the pure kind of domination over Miesha Tate, it was an odd thing in hindsight, obviously, to look at that and for Rousey to go, yeah, maybe I should fucking get back in there. Maybe I need to, help the division out again. But actually, when you think about it, in sort of total conspiracy manner, this is actually the perfect time for Rousey to reappear. Jason's just highlighted something here that says Dana White denies Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey for the UFC 300. But then again, Dana denies shit all the fucking time as well.
If he didn't say anything, that would be fine, but he's actually denied it, which makes me think that it might be even more true. What if he brings them both back?
You've just got Brock Lesnar versus Ronda Rousey.
No, but like he brings them both back.
No.
Yeah.
If we're looking at our champions, Alex Pereira's not booked. Is there someone he could fight? Because
Yes.
if you look at Aspinall, right, let's say John's not coming back, Stipe's not taking that fight. Who's Aspinall going to fight?
That's a good point, yeah.
So what if Alex Pereira has a chance to get 3 belts?
There's no way.
You guys say there's no way, but...
There's no way. I think that jump
he can't make heavyweight?
Yeah, he could make heavyweight. He just not diet. But I don't think...
Tom Aspinall would wreck Alex
Yeah, I
Pereira.
think if you
fight.
have a natural guy like Aspinall at his natural weight, he's going about how he's the quickest heavyweight we've ever seen. I don't think Alex Pereira can make up enough ground in time to take on someone who is naturally 250 pounds, has a speed advantage seemingly, and has a well-rounded
Alex
game.
walks around at like 235.
Yeah, but Alex is like, the reason he's so effective is probably because he does make the effort to cut down to those weights.
He's walking around the same weight Stipe fights at, then why the hell wouldn't he? Like, I don't think it's that far-fetched. I think like the concept of it's a bit far-fetched that the UFC would try and book that when you've just got 2 new champions.
He has never once admired to fight there. Heavyweight. I just think the size difference would be too much.
What makes me feel like it's something that might happen is because he's truly done some insane stuff in a short amount of time. If Jamal Hill is out, I don't know how long he's out for.
Is he?
Is he?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, but Izzy just said he wants to take some time off.
He does, but he's been having that time off already. This is not till April. I mean, it depends how much money they throw at him. And, you know, does he feel like I'm the only guy to knock Pereira out in the UFC? Can I be the guy to then move up and do it again?
But
so, I mean,
is it really a super fight? If it's a fight we've already seen.
Well, it depends what you consider a super fight.
Like,
It feels like a super fight nowadays in the UFC. It's like you can be a champion versus a champion, and that's a super fight. And that's not necessarily the case.
Why would Izzy take that fight? Like, he's already done it. He's never going to do it
because there's
better
a
than
trilogy to be had.
Yeah, but I don't know. If I was Izzy, I wouldn't take that fight because I've already done what I had never been able to do. 1 in 4 times, I pulled it out of the bag once. To then just do the same fight a year later.
But also, Izzy's in a place where he has fought everyone in the division, beaten most of them. He's coming to the end of his career. Where else does he go? You know, does he go like a cash route? Does he go just super fights, or does he go back to fighting everyone because he wants to fight everyone?
If Dana White and the UFC are looking at UFC 300 and being in the same situation, we're like, fuck, we don't actually have that much opportunity to make UFC 300 as big as it usually is with these ginormous like championship fights. And Izzy is there but doesn't want to fight. Maybe it's about offering that guy so much more money.
That is one thing that could bring Izzy back, is the fact that he could also win a belt.
A shitload of money and the opportunity to win another belt.
A second belt, because he
but
did want to do that.
But he just doesn't want to do it. He openly stated he does not want to do.
Yeah, if I saw that announced, I'd be like, what is your motivation here? Like you fight, like you could see after the fight when he beat him, was like how much it meant, and it was done. Because he was shaking hands and making friends with him after that. It's like, why would you? Because if you're just doing it for the money, fighting a guy like Pereira for money, that's like dangerous.
A combat athlete who has teased coming over to MMA, but specifically more or less the PFL, is Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, that is somebody else.
However, the man has come out to say that before he finishes his fighting career, he would like to fight in MMA and obviously in the UFC as well.
Well, that could be actually a really good matchup, because obviously he fights at heavyweight boxing. Alex Pereira at 205.
Deontay Wilder cutting to 205.
How much does he weigh normally?
There's no way he's cutting to 205, my guy.
There's no way. He's huge.
No.
I feel like he's definitely come in quite light before.
But in regards to the heavyweight division, I mean, Tom Aspinall's an interim heavyweight champion. Imagine that. He just comes in and Tom just slices through Deontay Wilder. It's not the first time we've seen shit like that as well with Randy Couture and James Toney. So the UFC have done these things in the past, not necessarily to have a great fight, but just essentially just to prove that MMA is so much better than boxing in a fucking cage.
I don't think he's going to take anything other than the bag, to be honest. He's going to be like an extortionate amount of money, probably from Saudi Arabia, who are funding PFL.
But I'm just saying, he is a lighter guy. Like, I don't think it's that crazy. Plus, you're not going to give him a wrestler.
You're talking nonsense.
How is that fucking nonsense?
Deontay
The numbers are on the
Wilder.
screen.
Deontay Wilder is not ever going to enter an MMA cage and fight in the light heavyweight division.
Why not?
It's not because he's a fucking heavyweight. His name is made on heavyweight.
That's true, but I'm just saying,
you're not going to send the fucking heavyweight former WBO champion into a fucking cage in a light heavyweight.
What's a better matchup for him? Alex Pereira or Tom Aspinall?
Well, Tom Aspinall in terms of what I was literally just saying, which is like the heavyweight kings fighting each other.
I think the Pereira fight would be better and more intriguing to people.
The guy probably doesn't even know who fucking Alex Pereira is.
That's the thing. You've got to give him someone who he thinks is on his level, who really might not draw the same numbers as if you do like the heavyweight champion of the UFC who has a link to the Furies.
But there's excitement amongst the idea of what it could be, and we're reaching for stars like old guys who used to love like Brock Lesnar and like former fucking massive celebrities like Ronda Rousey. Why not just someone like fucking Justin Gaethje versus like Nate Diaz?
It's a super fight.
I mean,
Tom.
that's what I mean. It's got to be a super fight. Maybe
but in the world,
BMF in that regard.
In the world of like MMA, super fight has been thrown around so carelessly now. It can literally mean it. A BMF fight is a super fight.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, are we in that realm now where the word super fight has dissipated so much that when something does get announced, it's not going to be anywhere near the spectacle that we were hoping for? What fighters under contract could sell a pay-per-view like UFC 300 in the way that a Brock Lesnar could, in the way that a John Jones and a Daniel Cormier could? That's the thing at the end of the day as well, for like MMA fans. Like, it would be really unusual to to see Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey main and co-main event UFC 300.
Yeah. It just kind of discredits the sport a bit, really, doesn't it?
I mean, it does.
Got everyone who watches the sport who are like, what the fuck is this? And everyone who doesn't watch the sport is like, yeah, the UFC, these two guys are back. And you're like, that's not really the UFC, though. That's just a fake kind of random thing that's what you think the UFC is, but it's actually this, which
that's
we
what
love.
this company looked like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know? And I think you wonder how smart that is from a organization that wants to house the best fighters in the world, and their main event and co-main event are guys 10 years of the past.
Gina Carano.
Fucking
how old is
hell.
Gina?
She probably needs
She
some
like
money
45?
now. Yeah.
How old's Gina?
After being cancelled from Hollywood.
Yeah, but
Holy
you could.
shit.
If you were
Ronda Rousey
trying
versus Gina Carano.
If you were trying to bring Ronda back, and you were like, you can fight Gina Carano.
They did try and make that fight as well.
I don't know what's the most realistic out of everything we said.
I don't
think any of them are realistic.
is
I don't think any of them.
It feels like such an odd thing to just drop in a podcast casually when all your stars and champions are like booked.
Well, if you enjoyed this fucking maddening podcast.
You're quite red, you are.
I know, it's
You're
because I'm
still
really hot.
red. You just like went red and never came back down.
It's because of the Deontay Wilder conversation. If you do want to watch the unedited version of this, which just drove me fucking mad, you can do. You can press the join button below.
Out of all the MMA podcasts that are exclusively for channel members, ours is the
on
best.
MMA on Point. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the best podcast on this channel.